Last week, I watched a movie called The Long Walk. It's based on this dystopian Stephen King novel in which 50 young men go for a long walk, and whoever is the last one walking wins and gets $20 million. Everyone else who stops walking, they lose and they get shot. Unfortunately, because so many die, it means the film is rated R. So you must get your parents' permission before watching it. Mine said it was okay. Now, I really like cardio. So this movie, it was my jam. Each step along the way, I wondered, how far could I have gone? Until they reached mile 100, and I realized it's actually a movie, not real life. And you probably can't sleep and walk at the same time, although they're sleepwalking, so, I would have won it. But the idea of walking as far as you can, of going to your absolute limits, is revealing. Because as these young men kept on walking for days and nights, they became more vulnerable and they began to reveal more of their hearts to those on this same journey. As the miles increased, their masks fell off and their identities were revealed. They grew in both virtue and brotherhood. This reality that would not have happened unless they were forced to their absolute limits on this long walk. I have an idea for our next campus ministry event. We'll see what Sister Maria Gemma has to say about the long walk at St. Francis. But at our limits, that's where we find out who we truly are. That's where we truly begin to grow. But so often in our lives, we don't know our limits. And two things happen. Either we go way beyond our limits, we get burnt out, we grind our body to dust, and spiritually numb ourselves, or we stay in comfort, don't go anywhere near our limits, and thus never discover who we truly are, and we never truly live. In both cases, we don't live real lives. Our limits are not obstacles to our identities. They are the doorway through which our identity is revealed. In our gospel, Christ goes to his absolute limits. Christ goes to find out who he is. And after 40 days of no food, what happens? Satan appears and challenges not the hunger, but his deepest identity. Satan asks the poisonous question, if you are the Son of God, turn these stones into bread. Throw yourself down from the temple. Prove that you are loved by God. And you don't truly know you're beloved until you experience it at your limits. Until everything else is stripped away and it's just you as you truly are at your limits. And Satan, he wants you to ignore your limits. He wants you to either attempt to surpass them in vain or avoid them entirely. In the first reading, we hear the first temptation. Eat this and you'll be like God. You can do anything. You will have no limits. And Adam and Eve, they fall to this temptation to go beyond their creaturely limits, which causes them to be exiled from the Garden of Eden. Now, why is it bad to ignore your limits? Because your limits are not a curse. Your limits are a blessing given to you by God. Your limits are a gift because they remind you you're not self-sufficient. You need friends, you need grace, you need sleep, you need God. Without limits, you'd be a selfish jerk. But with limits, you're forced to draw close to friends and family. You're forced to draw close to God, depend upon him. Your limits are what give all your actions meaning. Your time and energy are precious. I only have so much. And this moment is actually important. There actually is a cost. Because there's a cost, it becomes real. Our world today can be described as an endless attempt to go beyond our limits, become more and more productive at the costs of our very souls. Think about light bulbs. They allowed us to go beyond our limits. Back in the day when the sun went down, okay, no more working. I had to be with family and sleep. Think about social media. That's given us thousands of friends, so productive. But are they real? Think about artificial intelligence that enables us to have the answer instantly, but without the cost of thinking. Even that phrase, artificial intelligence that is not real, but rather artificial. It's a good that has been purchased with no real cost. A good without limits. Without limits, it can't be good. It can be really good at looking good, but it can't be good because it's artificial, not real. Do we want to be real or do we want to be artificial? During Lent, that'll be the question we're asking. Do I want to be artificial or do I want to be real? Because the issue with artificial intelligence is not the intelligence. It may seem like stupidity is the biggest issue in our age. It's not. The issue is artificiality. Artificial friendships, artificial virtue, artificial productivity, artificial holiness. Things that look real but have no cost. Real things have a real cost. And real things, they're found only at our limits. True friendship, true virtue, true productivity, true holiness, those are things that are only found at our limits. And until we're able to embrace our limits, not go beyond them in vain, or hide from them in comfort, we will never be fully real. When we ask God for the grace to go to our limits and be loved as we truly are, and to be real. For this week, I have 2 tips about how to embrace our limits. Tip 1, ask yourself, have I ever been to my limits? Think of the last time I went a day without eating food. I was on vacation in Hawking Hills, Ohio. I was at an Airbnb cabin that was a few miles into the woods, and there was this big hill about half a mile from the cabin. It snowed the day before, so my car went down the hill, and then it went up the hill, and then it slid back down the hill, and it was stuck there, about half a mile from my cabin. My game plan for that week was to eat at a restaurant. My car got stuck, so alas, I had 2.5 days of no food. That's not true. I had Doritos in my car. That week, I was forced to pray and relax at my limits, to experience true hunger. There were dog treats in the cabin, so I wouldn't have starved. But this time was formative for my heart. I can be happy without food. I can experience discomfort and still be with the Lord. So for you this Lent, does your fasting challenge you? Does it reveal your attachment to earthly goods? Does it bring you to vulnerability before God and make you real? Does it bring you to your limits where you're more open and vulnerable before the Lord? If your Lent costs you nothing, it will form nothing. And tip 2, but the other side, do I ever attempt to surpass my limits? Go beyond what I'm able to do? That's the point of our official penance for Lent, 8 hours of sleep. It's saying, I have done all I can do today. I am at my earthly limits, and thus I'm going to go to sleep. So do I take time to rest? Because I'm a creature, and as a creature, I have to take care of myself. That my limits were given to me by the Lord. I need to respect them and not grasp after an artificial life, but live a real life. To respect your limits, it's not weakness. It's a trust in God. So this week, respect your limits. The Christian life is the real long walk. But unlike that Stephen King movie, the goal is not to outlast each other and win a lot of money. The goal is to discover our limits and become real. Because at some point during this long walk of life, we will reach our limits emotionally, physically, spiritually. And when Satan whispers into our hearts, grasp after more, prove yourself, ignore your limits, you can answer, no. I am an adopted child of God. I do not need to grasp. I know who God is. I know who I am. I know our love. I trust my Father. And it's not an artificial answer, but a real answer that has come at a cost. There's being told you are loved by God, which I can say 1,000,000 times, and there is knowing you are loved by God, which can only be discovered at your limits. God bless.